Okay, welcome everybody to this next edition of DPAA Short Connects. I have with me today my guest and special friend and special personality. And what I mean by that is Anush Prabhu, who is the Chief Strategy Officer of Mediacom, has got one of those, and you'll hear it, one of those wonderful, laughing, engaging, effusive, ebullient personalities, which is so needed during this time. So Anush, welcome.
Thank you, Barry. Thank you. Now I have to force myself to laugh somehow.
Right, exactly.
Or not. Like I was wondering whether I should avoid laughing after he made that comment or not. But listen, it's glad to be here.
Good. And you know what? And we're glad to be able
chatting in this
chat and laugh and connect as much as we can. How are your teams? How are they doing? How's morale? How do you kind of keep people connected and pump them up, Anush?
Yeah, so the great thing is every day the Exco team meets at 5 o'clock. We do a conference call at 5 o'clock, a video call.
Maybe for our viewers, the acronym EXCO.
Yeah, the executive committee. I'm sorry. So we meet every evening at 5 o'clock on a video conference, talk about what happened during the day. But apart from that, for example, 2 weeks ago, we had our first virtual town hall. Every month, the agency has a town hall that we conduct. So we did this virtually where 1,000+ people essentially logged on. We did 4 to 5, and then there were like virtual drinks after that where we were cheering each other. Our CEO does these. He's done like now the global CEO, Steve Allen. Every 2 weeks, he puts out a video for 10 minutes. He talks about what's going on. I think in times like these, complete transparency helps. There were a lot of like classes we would do, cultural classes, for example, fitness routines and things like that, yoga classes in the office. Now we have moved them all virtually. So there are actually virtual meditation classes we do. There are virtual yoga classes that people conduct. So that's been going well. We've also little things like the getting people to stay active while they're at home is key also for work life. So making sure that the money that we used to give as far as benefits are concerned for gym memberships, now we kind of give $150 to kind of dollars to go and get any home equipment you need for exercising. So things like that keep them active. And then we regularly do status meetings and things like that so that we see each other at least virtually and are connected.
And big question for an executive like you, new business. How does one pitch new business these days? And maybe at the same time, give us a little sense of your total role as a CSO.
Sure. Listen, as CSO, it's kind of a very obvious role in terms of the Chief Strategy Officer. I head up strategy and insights for America, all our offices around America. We have about 5 offices, LA, Chicago, Ann Arbor, and a few others, little offices. My job is to ensure that our strategic product and strategic direction as far as our go-to-market solutions are connected to data-driven insights, connected to culture in some ways, and somehow give our plans an advantage where they have an upper hand even when we are spending less. So kind of a way to outsmart and not always outmuscle, which is kind of a given in today's environment. And also some ways to look at the entire plans that we have as a system, because many agencies go wrong in just thinking of a media plan versus a systems approach and connecting paid, owned, and earned, connecting their retail environments and things like that. And how do you look at everything together and work in a way that drives brand impact, not only for a short term, but also long term. So that's kind of my role when it comes to new business. I'm the primary storyteller, if you will. I'm responsible for creating the narrative, the strategic narrative of the pitch, and making sure our presentations are telling the right story with the right solutions that will deliver an impact for the clients. I would not have expected many of the pitches that are happening right now to actually happen in this scenario. So we've been lucky in terms of that just between last week and this week, there were 4 pitches and sizable ones at that
Really?
that we've been engaged in. And they've all been done similar to how we are doing it. So making sure everything is working. If you're showing a video, does the technology work? And touch wood, it's been extremely successful. The teams have gotten used to presenting this way, talking through, with nobody looking back at you necessarily, with a presentation screen there. And it's a harder environment, because you're used to looking at the whites in someone's eyes and reading the reaction.
Right.
You can't do that very effectively because there's a presentation up. In addition,
what are the clients saying in terms of their spend, in terms of their outlook? Are they pausing? Are they hopeful? Are they pulling back? Well, what are you hearing?
Everyone, I will say this, everyone's hopeful for sure. Everyone sees that this is all going to change. But that said, there are quite a few clients that are doing all right, depending on the industry they're in, like if they're computers or video games, things that require people to stay at home.
Sure.
And those activities, those industries are doing really well. If you're in travel or hospitality or retail environments that depend heavily on people walking into the store, those have obviously been, clients have slowed down over there,
right,
and made sure that only the basic of spending is being done to keep the engine running. Part of the activities, I will say, even apart from spend, it's a weird time, right? In these troubled times, it's also a time to make sure that the brand connection gets even stronger.
right.
Because if you are there in these times of needs, that means you are, a partner that will be there in good times as well. So similar to that, the brands have a similar responsibility in today's world. So a lot of our clients are engaging in activities, especially as people are sitting at home. If they're in a sports arena, we have clients like Adidas helping out, with workout routines and things like that. So there is that responsibility that is also being driven by many of our clients to kind of be utilitarian in today's environment.
So they're getting clever, they're getting creative, they're staying connected. And then, of course, we've seen those that pull back too much during these periods have a real tough climb getting back when it ends. Certainly one of the areas that's hit a little bit is our out-of-home world.
Yes.
And you've been, I know, a big fan of out-of-home, and you've been a great partner to many of our members. And what advice would you give to kind of the out-of-home world and media owners in general, given all that's going on?
Listen, I think like everyone's in some way or the other trying to survive this, right? And get out of it. I will say there's an opportunity that many brands have not taken as far as out-of-home is concerned, in that you are literally in the culture that people live in when you're out in the streets. That has changed, right? And when it opens up, they'll go back. There's no question about it. But my recommendation would be, like our recommendation to every other brand in today's times, is live out your purpose and use your space to kind of be a little bit more utilitarian as brands, as an industry, in that how can we use that out-of-home space? One of the conversations I think I emailed you about was also, can we use the out-of-home space to kind of start thanking the healthcare workers? And then I saw it was being done already by someone. So those are the kinds of things that I feel like we can start activating, so that people keep in mind, because you are very much part of that culture, and brands that connect to culture, environments that connect to culture do better. But to me, like, what is great about digital out-of-home is you are very much part of where people are. Very much part of their active engagement lifestyle, whether they are walking to school, whether they are running or not. So it's a moment when you're taking in everything and doing certain things in out-of-home that really spark someone's attention and interest and make you part of that environment. I find it totally appealing and interesting. There are very few mediums that allow you to engage in a way when people are active. And this is one of them. Because you can't, advertise on a mobile phone when someone is running or, here
Right.
are one of those moments where, and to me, like, I think it's still one of the only mediums where the advertising itself gets so much attention and praise. There are very few of those content spaces left, that people are taking advantage of. Yes, television commercials and stuff like that, but creativity has been in decline. Whereas I feel out of home, it's been seeing a rebirth of creativity in some form or the other.
What kind of is inspiring you these days at the Anush work at home scenario? What do you look to for inspiration?
Listen, like our work stuff is filled. To me, it's an interesting challenge strategically on how brands keep themselves essential, keep themselves moving and connected to people in these times when there's very little money they can be spending. So that's an amazing strategic challenge for us, despite the fact that it is also a sad time in some ways or the other, that there is positivity out of it. There's some kind of a togetherness that we are seeing out of it, that brands and people are coming together. So that to me is very inspiring. But apart from that, apart from work, keeping yourself active, like I'll go obviously in a very safe way with masks and stuff like that on. You see that on my Facebook feed, I'm sure. But I'll go out with my camera, take pictures in the evening. I have 2 dogs, I'll go out with them, keep some fitness routine on.
Good.
Started right there we have a little bit of a terrace area. So I've been gardening during my spare time, but some kind of an activity, because the great thing is, the one thing that families always complain about is, you're never at home, you're always at work. Well, now you're at home. So
I've got a lot of you.
yeah, and make the best out of it. So like cooking certain things every day, keeping yourself active. I think it's a moment to also take in.
Absolutely. And appreciate what we have and be thoughtful and, appreciate the good things that we do have and be grateful. I think, we're all doing that. Anush, it's always a pleasure chatting with you. Thank you for joining us for Deep.
Oh, the pleasure is far greater for me, Barry. I can't wait to see you again in person.
I know. Here's a virtual hug I'll give you.
Back at you.
I know. Well, we'll be doing a lot more in person together. And, as always, thank you.
Listen, like I feel like when this is over and when people are crowding back into the streets, there's going to be a lot of positive momentum, across businesses. I think certain categories like luxury and stuff like that. I was just reading a report in China that certain categories like luxury, people were almost revenge spending when they got out, because they were like, oh my God, I feel like spending.
Right.
So it's thinking ahead and thinking through what's going to happen. Are we going to go into a recession? How do we deal with those things? How do brands deal with that? All good, problems to solve right now before the time comes, so that we are better prepared.
Exactly. Well, keep on winning business, and it's great to see you, my friend.